All right. Hello, everybody. This is DrEnderPickles. Welcome back to the DrEnderPickles Show. Today we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Zombie. Introduce yourself.
I am Dr. Zombie, another doctor who plays on 2B2T. I've become well known as the most trusted person on 2B2T. And yeah, I've been doing a consistent YouTube series on 2B for longer than anyone else.
Yes, yes. You are the earliest, one of the earliest, consistent 2B YouTubers.
There were a lot of videos out pre 2013 on 2B, but nobody really did a long series on it until I started doing one.
But yeah, I want to talk about that. So you're up to like, what, 10 seasons now?
Yeah, a season for me doesn't really make a ton of sense. I've tried to sort of separate them out in a way that felt like it made sense at the time. But this is actually the 11th season, which is taking place right now and includes the Incursion. I believe the 11th season started with the destruction of my base, Zeril's Tier, and then kind of follows me through what I was doing after that point. And of course, now is moving into the Incursion.
Yeah, so what stuff have you done with the Incursion? What are your thoughts on the Incursion so far?
I am pretty impressed with it. Sorry if I kind of moved away from the microphone there. I realized that my door was open and my children were sleeping. um, I'm very impressed with it so far. It's a lot of people working together on some pretty amazing projects. The trench that's being created around Spawn is unimaginably large for an Anarchy server to do something like this. It just breaks all sorts of uh, records, I would think, and to be part of that is pretty overwhelming, especially since I spent most of my time in 2B for the first 3 years or so avoiding people, like specifically not meeting up with anyone. Until the third incursion started, and then I thought, well, maybe I should actually come and be part of the history that I'm looking at instead of just walking by it all the time. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to be at least partly involved in the seventh incursion. I'm not able to get there on Doctor Zombie, my main, because he's too far away, and there's no truly exploitable travel cheat right now that I know of. So I'm logged in on my wife's account, Doctor Wifey, and have been working around Spawn.
Nice, nice. All right. Uh, I want to know, you said you were considered the most trusted player throughout 2B. What gave you that title? What do you think gave you that title among players?
Uh, you know, I would I kind of know how it came about, and it's simply because I was doing it for long enough, doing the YouTube series on 2B for long enough that people just started to get my perspective on the place, which was, I didn't really go after revenge. I wasn't out to grief structures. I did my best to leave behind something when I took something away. So like if I came across a field of wheat, I would replant before I'd walk away, which is something you really don't see a lot of in an anarchy server. And uh, by the time people started sending me coordinates and saying, "Hey, you should go visit this thing; it's really cool," or "Hey, you should go here," here's my base, and I didn't reveal the coordinates publicly unless it was a well-known place like the Valley of Wheat, for example. I think people started to realize that Dr. Zombie could have shown the coordinates, could have revealed my base, and didn't. And he would have had a lot to gain to do so publicly. And then, over 3 or 4 years, people started to say, the only person I would ever invite to my base is Dr. Zombie, or, I don't trust anybody in this Discord except Dr. Zombie, was one of the phrases I heard uttered during the fourth incursion. And I remember hearing, I think it was Walter Cronkite was known as the most trusted man in America. So I said, oh, well, I'm the most trusted man on 2B2T.
Nice, nice. Um, okay, so you've been at a lot of different bases, right? Obviously, I mean, you're the most trusted person on 2B2T. So I want to know, what is the best base that you've toured? been at? It's two
The
separate
most
questions. Which one, best one you've toured and best one you've based at?
So the most impressive base that I've ever been to that was active was Block Game Mecca, which was recently publicly destroyed and was a pretty big event on the subreddit.
Yeah, definitely
Um,
hit on that base because it was very, very popular at the time.
yeah, it was enormous, and I had toured it 6 months before it was leaked. And I mean, I can get into what happened there as far as I know it. Of course, I only know it from hearing other people talk about how it went down. But I think most people agree that it happened based on Beard from the archive, the 2B2T map archive. Anyway, Block Game Mecca, Autism Bot, also known as Slappin' Bad Kids, invited me to tour his base. He said, "You can log in with my wife's account. It's millions of blocks out. I know you probably can't make it there yourself, but I'd like you to come visit. And I'm not going to tell my base mates that I've invited you. I'm taking a risk by doing this." And I said, you can trust me. I'll never reveal it until I get the green light from everyone. And basically, he said that would only happen if the base is destroyed. And then 6 months later, it was. Um, as for the most impressive base that I've ever actually based at, I haven't really based with too many people for long periods of time because disaster just seems to follow me. Um, I based briefly at Hammerbeam, just built a few small structures and hung out there for a few months before moving on. And that was a pretty cool place with a really, really classic Minecraft relaxed mode vibe to it. Unlike some of these places that have enormous buildings and you know dragons frozen in ice and shit. Hammerbeam was just a lot of villas and pathways and walls and stuff. And then my own base, Zerils and Tier, took off more than I thought it would. Um, and if it had not been leaked by McNeil, probably I would still be there today, and it would probably be very impressive. However, I'm currently at Radius Base, and Radius Base has a lot going on for it as well. It doesn't quite have the same theming that Zeril did. That being, Zeril's Interior was supposed to be a dwarven stronghold base. Radius Base is sort of a collection of different fun ideas and whatnot. But there's some pretty impressive builders working there now, and I'm anxious to see where they can take it.
Yeah, so okay, I want to ask you now. You've met a lot of players, obviously, players that have invited you to bases and players that you've met over your series. And I wanted to know which players have you kept in contact with? Which players, have been the greatest players that you've met? I know it's a broad term, but we can get the
Man,
gist of
that's
what
going to
I'm
be a
saying.
tough one. That's a tough question. Um, it's tough because have met and interacted with so many people, and my memory is absolutely god awful. Unless I like meet somebody and say their name repeatedly over time, I'll probably wind up forgetting that I've met them and played with them um, at all. Um, and on the other hand, I could probably spend the next 20 minutes just rattling off names of people who've meant something to me. But I'll go ahead and I'll start with Autism Bot. I really met him during one of the incursions when he asked me for help because his son had cancer, and he wanted me to let people know that there was a crowdfunding link to help raise money for his son. And so I donated for that, and I ran like a charity live stream for it. And I didn't raise much, but I did kind of spread some awareness. And fortunately, him and his family are doing very well now. Which is great, and we've been friends ever since. And it was, a few months after that he invited me to his base. And of course, Autism Bot has a reputation on 2B2T as being one of the bad boys, one of the guys who grief spaces and leaks chords and stuff. So spams and all the stuff that you do on 2B to get away from a reality in which you're suffering or you're having a tough time. Um, Other 2B players, I've met Drew. I accidentally based at a base that Drew Bookman thought was a secret base, Black Flag base. Um, Sato gave me the cords to it and told me that it was an incursion base that we could go to if our base was destroyed. And the base was destroyed, and I moved to this Black Flag outpost. And Drew logged in one day and said, "What the fuck are you doing here? This is a private location. You're not supposed to be here." And then when I told him Sato had told me to go there, he kind of flipped out and withered the place. Um, Sato, of course, I've met and worked with many times over the incursion. I've met and talked with Fit, of course. Fit and I have done a live stream together. We've done a series or two together on various things. Most people don't remember, but yeah, that was something that I did. Um, Saluide was one of the guys who really helped me out when I had a financial problem a couple years back. I set up my first Patreon, and he donated heavily to help me through some tough times. Makairu Mine, Morbid Rain, and Casual MC, guys from Hammerbeam that have run 2B2T YouTube series, and a lot of them credit me as helping them get into the server, or credit each other and back to me through some sort of pyramid scheme of YouTube. um, Man, and I know there's got to be like a hundred other people that I'm leaving out that have, met me somewhere, or provided me base cords, or uh, you, tools, armor. Sun Wukong and I have worked a couple times together. I met Cartman once, and he gave me a maps of his ISIS flag way back before Russia ever showed up. Actually, I think that was like a few months before Russia showed up, or a month before Russia showed up. Um, and then, there's been so many people since then that have just come through or gone. But yeah, like I said, I think I did talk for 20 minutes about it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Um, you were talking about as you were talking about that, I was thinking of another question, or well, no, more or less a statement. Your videos, they capture your history. I don't think many players have that. They go through their time on 2B, and I can speak from experience that I've forgotten a lot of the stuff I've done over time. But you have this video recollection that you can go back and watch and say, "Hey, I did that." It's out there. I think that's kind of cool. It's better than
Yeah, and
screenshots.
for a long time, I wanted everything that happened on 2B to be recorded. And I was incredibly afraid that, if I cut out a boring thing, trying to like just walk for 100 miles, just doing nothing, I was afraid that during that time I would walk into a base, or I would get killed and it wouldn't be recorded, and people would be like, "Well, this isn't very genuine. You cut out major parts." Um, but yeah, no, and people show me screenshots of their bases and places they visit, and they go, "Look, I got 100 screenshots." I'm like, "Fuck, I never took screenshots. Why didn't I take screenshots?" And then I realized, I've got this walking diary video of the whole thing, really. And so I'm like, well, I guess that's better than screenshots in some ways. I think one day I want to do a live stream where I do like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 thing, and I watch my old videos and talk over them. Just kind of like reminisce about what life on 2B used to be back in the day.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you have this notoriety, right? I mean, that's got to attract players who want to, hey, I'm gonna base a Dr. Zombie because he's a YouTuber. Does that really come in handy, or does it get annoying after a while?
No, it never gets annoying. I'm always excited to meet somebody who actually recognizes me. Back before Rusher showed up, I was probably one of the most well-known players just for that reason. I'd log in and people would be like, "Holy shit, it's Doctor Zombie! He's real." Because again, even then I was only able to log in like once or twice a week. Now it's even less, and because of the queue, I just don't even bother sometimes. But no, I still log in and people whisper me and they're like, "Oh, hey, I love your videos," and I try to respond to everybody because I really appreciate that. It's unique and exciting to have somebody see something that you do and enjoy it. And I started recording the videos for me mostly just because I enjoyed doing it, and I wanted to share my love of Minecraft and my love of Anarchy Minecraft with other people. And now I do it because people want to see more. and so I try to give people what they want. Um, but no, it's never been a burden or annoying if people walk up to me and they say, hey. In fact, probably the most annoying part is when we have an incursion or when we have a temp map or something, and I walk up to somebody that I don't know. I can almost never attack first. I just can't bring myself to stab somebody and kill them, knowing that 2 seconds later they might whisper me and be like, "Oh my god, I'm a huge fan." So I think Fit started to see this as well when he started running around killing people after Rusher started talking about Fit. When he's like, "I can't kill this guy, he's a fan." You know what I mean? And it's
No,
like,
Fitz just bad at PvP because he's a beta.
well, I mean, they were naked, so it didn't really. There wasn't a lot of that going on. But now my kill count is pretty low for many reasons, and that's one of them. Also, I am terrible at PvP.
All right, so I have an interesting question for you that I don't know if you've answered before. You might have though. Uh, how did you find 2B?
I have answered this one, and honestly, I can't remember the exact details myself, but I'm pretty sure it goes like this. So prior to 2B2T, I hosted my own Minecraft server for friends of mine from a different online game called Mine Things. And Mine Things is nothing like Minecraft. I don't even recommend you Google it because it is a like long dead ancient web game that was really kind of boring. But for whatever reason, I was into it at the time, and people there were like, "Hey, have you heard about Minecraft? Let's start a Minecraft server." I threw up a server for some friends of mine and also for this online group, and we had maybe like 10 players. Uh, and I quickly realized that running a Minecraft server was a lot like babysitting. And everybody got into fucking fights over tiny little squabbly patches of land. And in a world that was essentially infinite, why the fuck are these 12-year-olds or even 18-year-olds griefing each other or building in places that they know they're not supposed to build? And I just got fucking sick of it. I did do quite a few little videos prior to my 2B2T video starting, um, where I was on the server, and you could see that it was basically crap. But people would fight over, their towers of cobble, and I was sick of it. And I said, I want to go to a server where I don't have to worry about building on somebody else's plot of land, or I want to be able to be the bad guy and not get banned from the server. And I found a server called Civcraft. And I believe I found this because somebody at my current job said, "Oh, you should play on this server. It's Civcraft. It's kind of like that." And Civcraft was interesting, had a lot of great ideas, but it did not allow me to be a hermit and get anywhere. You could not mine diamonds unless you found a diamond vein, and you needed iron to find a diamond vein because you need to have iron to get diamonds, and it just took forever to dig up iron. It had a bunch of cool plugins, but it had a bunch of really shitty ones too. But one of the cool plugins it had was a Pearl imprisonment plugin, where if you killed somebody while you were holding an Ender Pearl on your hotbar, you imprisoned their soul inside that Ender Pearl, and they would be banished to the end unless you summoned them or the Pearl was destroyed.
Dang,
Uh, yeah, it was
it's
a
like
really
human. It's
cool
like
idea.
human Pokemon.
It was a little bit like Pokemon, but what it really was it was a justice system within the game, where the admin wouldn't have to ban somebody for doing something wrong. You would have to get your friends together to go kill them and imprison them and keep them in a vault. And people would build these enormous obsidian vaults, reinforced using one of the other game's mods, so that you have to break through the same obsidian brick over 1,000 times in order to destroy it. Uh, and they would basically imprison their enemies inside these vaults. And it was a neat idea. It was a cool server, and eventually I got bored of it and found 2B2T by looking for Anarchy servers. I don't remember if I found it via an article in IGN or if I just Googled Anarchy Minecraft servers, and 2B was the first one that popped up. But after I played it for a day or two, I knew it was what I was looking for, and I started my series.
Speaking of your series and your channel in general, uh, how did you start doing YouTube? And if you had any advice for new to YouTubers in this generation, what would it be?
um, my first three or two or three YouTube videos were actually uploads of projects I did for a club in college. They were anime music videos, and I put them
Dr.
on
Zombie's a
YouTube.
weeb confirmed.
Yeah, not at all. I put them up on YouTube just because it was a way to keep the files available, because otherwise I knew I would like lose them. But honestly, I've only ever enjoyed one or two anime, and the one that I picked was FLCL, um, which is quite good, in a mocking itself sort of way.
I've only
And
seen One Punch Man, so
yeah, I don't even know what that is. But after that, I think the first video I uploaded that wasn't that was a Minecraft video. And I had no microphone. I just took a video of me building a 5 point clock using redstone and hooking it up to an alarm so that when somebody touched a pressure plate, an alarm would go off and you would see your redstone lights would blink. Um, and this was when redstone was like brand new. You didn't have jukeboxes yet, or uh, the note blocks or anything else that could make a noise. You just had, a light that would turn on and off. And I made that video, and I liked doing it. I liked editing it and posting it. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people getting into this game Minecraft right now. This is when Minecraft was really really fucking new, and there's not a lot of information on how to be good at it. People suck at Minecraft, and so I filmed a little series called Advanced Minecraft about tips and tricks that you could use to just get by. Little things like putting your torches always on the right hand side so that when you're leaving your mine, you follow them on the left to get out, so you don't get lost underneath. Now, getting lost in a mine nowadays seems like, who would ever fucking do that? Because you could just hit F3 and know your chords, or um, you know. But back then, it was like groundbreaking, where people would just go down into a mine with some bread and a couple torches and a couple pickaxes, run out of pickaxes, not be able to find their way out, get killed by a zombie, lose all their shit. And this happened all the time. Um, and so I was like, okay, there's some little things that people need to know about. Um, I don't recommend you watch the old series because it is incredibly basic shit now. But at the time, it was useful to people.
all right.
As for
Oh yeah,
as for advice for new YouTubers, because you also asked about that.
yes.
Um, Man, so number one is be yourself. Don't try to be a character that you will burn yourself out on. Play games that you want to play, have fun doing it, and people will enjoy watching your videos. Now, people will look at guys like Jacksepticeye or Markiplier or PewDiePie and say, oh, in order to be good, I have to be a crazy nut job who just overacts at everything. And while there is some truth to that, you will get more views if you're full of drama, full of very animated. You'll get, children who will watch your episodes over and over and over. Uh, you are probably not going to enjoy that experience. Uh, and if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you'll never make it in YouTube, because that ship has already sailed. You're just going to make 50 videos that you hate yourself in, and you're going to get 51 views, and you're going to say, why am I doing this? Um, if you are trying to be a YouTuber as a career, I think that's similar to trying to be a pro football player as a career. Only there's not there's not a lot of ways that you can improve yourself other than like getting an editing degree. Most of the really good YouTubers have video editing degrees. They went to college to learn how to, make film, uh, and so it shows when someone like me does a video and it has almost no editing.
Oh yeah,
um,
tell me about it. I just have a blank. I have a picture up for like an hour when I interview somebody. The best
yeah,
editing I've done is like I got OpenShot or something and added like a few pictures into like one of my videos. So I thought that was pretty snazzy.
The the best projects that I've ever had have never happened because I simply cannot fathom the amount of work it would take me to do to get them to work. Um, just the amount of like I've done one music video for Minecraft. I have more songs. I just cannot bring myself to try that again. I would need to capture a whole bunch of video of me playing 2B, and I would need to line up my voice with a soundtrack again. And it's just like, I can't imagine having to do it more than once.
We should make a soundtrack together. I need to be on one of your songs. I got a really good singing voice.
uh, God, I just when I record myself singing, I listen to it and I go, God, that sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
that's how I feel whenever I listen to one of my interviews. It's
Yeah,
like,
I don't want to hear this ever, and I don't think
yeah,
anyone else would want to hear this, and so I get discouraged. I say, "Fuck it, no, I'm done." But yeah, other complicated things too. I think, oh, that would make a really good video, and then I think, but I'm never gonna fucking do it because it would require me to be able to animate. You know what I mean? So yeah.
all right. I want to get to the closing meat of this interview. Um, so I want to know your opinions on Fit. He's a very controversial topic in the 2B community. A lot of people don't like him. They think he's ruining the server, and a lot of his fans that do like him don't even play the server. So I want to know what your personal opinions on him are. I know you two are closely aligned since you both do YouTube, you both stream together and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think I have mentioned publicly that I support Fit and what he did when Russia came around, and I said that if I had more free time, I would have done the same things that he did. Now, some people got offended when I said that, and other people said, no, you never would have because you would have to have lowered yourself. Um, so I guess I'll clarify my statements. Um, I do not think that Fit did anything that I wouldn't have done with regard to working together with the Camping Rusher in order to create content. And I know that most of the old players said you made the server worse by working with Camping Rusher to bring people into the server. You're the reason we have the queue. You're the reason that he stayed around as long as he did, and he kept making videos and yada yada yada. And that is all true. That definitely happened. Fit definitely made people stay. The Camping Rusher made them visit, certainly, and there was nothing that Fit could do to stop that. Um, but the Camping Rusher would never have made such a long series if FitMC hadn't called him out and said, you know, we're working to resist this, we're creating a veteran army, etc.
Exactly.
Um, and at the time, I mean, the veterans on 2B2T were like 50 to 100 people working against 2,000 at minimum that were coming in. So, I mean, the truth of the matter is that Fit is not lying when he said they invented this veteran idea and the vet banner in order to separate people who love the Camping Rusher from people who thought that he was here to screw with the place. And the same people who just logged in that week were turning around and fighting others. So that may have been uh, Fit's real plan and intention was to get them to fight each other because otherwise they would just overwhelm us over time anyway. But he definitely so he took a channel that had nothing. His YouTube channel had zero. And he was able to, in the span of a month, make himself extremely popular and has since, of course, taken it into a career. If I could have done that, I absolutely would have. I would be much happier doing YouTube as a career than working for an office. Um, However, I probably would not have been as successful, and I blame that mainly on my video editing skills not being as good and my time. I have a family, I had kids, I still do, obviously, but I just did not have the time to make 4 videos a day like he was doing. I believe my personality would have been okay. I think some people said, "Oh, well, Doctor Zombie's personality is not as good as Fitz or whatever." But I think people would have stayed. Maybe not quite as many, but I think I would have been able to compete if I had been able to donate 100% of my life to that. However, there is the belief, and I'm not sure that it's true, and Fit has always denied it, but there is the belief that Fit gave the camping rusher coordinates in order to give him more content. If that were true, that is something I would never have done, other than public places like Valley of Wheat, which everyone should know about. But Fit, some people, specifically Offtopia, claim that Fit gave Rusher coordinates to private bases that were not known so that Rusher could then film them and grief them.
Do you
Um,
think he has conspired with other YouTubers like Rusher and Fuse and the works?
um, well, it depends. When you say conspired, do you mean conspired to leak bases to them? No, I don't think so. If you mean conspired to create a series, manufacture drama, then yes, absolutely. And he has admitted that he's done so. Fit has said openly that he worked with the Camping Rusher to create a series.
So I like what you said. I can agree with a lot of what you said. Um, but I think one of the main problems with Fit now, see, I didn't his series with the camping rusher. Yes, that was good. I would have done that too if I was in that position. But how he's taking his approach to YouTube now, it almost feels like he's purposely spreading misinformation for the sole purpose of getting back at people.
Well,
Uh,
believe it or not, I have started listening to your video, your interview with the Incursion members. I haven't finished, but I did listen to what was being said there, and I do agree with a lot of it. Um, so you have to separate the Fit who was a 2B2T player prior to becoming a YouTube star and the Fit that is him now. Fit is a YouTuber now. He still plays on 2B2T, but he doesn't do it for fun anymore. He does it because he's trying to create content. And well, I mean, there's so many things I could talk about here. But when the slightest drop or hint of a potential series conflict or content is coming to 2B2T, Fit has to jump on it and has to make it bigger than it is because he's trying to maintain or grow his channel. Like, I don't blame him for that. I'm not going to say, well, he shouldn't do that because he's supposed to be fucking protecting the server. At this point, no, he's supposed to be protecting his source of income, his channel. And I mean, that make him as bad as the camping rusher? Not really. He has way more respect for the Anarchy server that raised him than Rusher ever did. I mean, Rusher tried to fucking buy the place. That's what. Honestly, I wasn't even upset at the camping Rusher until he tried to purchase the server and essentially buy a um, society. You know what I mean? Like he wanted to buy a town basically. Uh, so I don't blame Fit for what he's doing, but I definitely see how it is not helping uh, to be. He's clickbaiting his viewers into believing that something's going on when it's not. And you're absolutely right. He is manufacturing content when none exists in order to hype up things. Because if he really came out and said, you know what, this has kind of been a big dud. There's only been a few French people on. They're on at different hours. There's a big incursion going on, and really, there's just a few people who are messing with it, and it's mostly going ahead unhindered. So I'm just not going to be doing anything because they kicked me out. Like it. Okay, that's going to be a pretty boring video, and his fans are going to be bored with it. So I'm not surprised that he's trying to, pump it up. Um, I mean, that said, if he came to me tomorrow and said, "Hey, Doc, you want to be in a live stream with me?" I would fucking jump on it. You know what I mean? Because
Obviously, yeah.
yeah, I would want to be part of that, and I would be happy with it. If he came to me tomorrow and said, "Hey, Doc, I need coordinates to all the incursion bases so I can make content," no, I wouldn't do it. But that's just me. Um, I'm sure there are people who would, uh, in order to get themselves more popularity. I mean, people blow shit up on 2B2T all the time for the popularity.
So I want to end this interview out by asking one last question. Uh, where do you expect to go with your channel from here? What content do you expect to be making from here?
I'm not really sure. I've kicked around a lot of ideas. I'm still doing 2B2T. In fact, I'm uploading a 2B2T video right now. I still want to do 2B2T, but it is very difficult for me to create content there. The queue is a barrier, certainly. But moreover, I have done and seen a lot of shit on 2B to the point where, at this point, unless something major happens and I'm involved in it, nothing new is happening to me. I've seen a ton of bases, things that are amazing, that blow your mind if you really think about how much work went into it. The Dark Souls castle is one, and Block Game Mecha is another. And I've seen map art. I've built map art. I've built bases. I've been part of incursions, PvP, and Spawn. I've seen it change over the last 5 years, and there's not a whole lot that I think is going to really be different on 2B2T. However, I can pretty much say that about Minecraft. Minecraft's going to come out with a patch. Things are going to change a little bit, but for the most part, it's the same. Um, that said, I still enjoy playing 2B2T, and if I can find content there, I'd be happy to post it. But I think it's going to be lesser and lesser until eventually no one's really looking for it anymore. And I don't suspect that I'll take my channel to a different Anarchy server. I've considered it, and maybe I will wind up doing it if people ask for it. But because people have said, "Well, do one on Constantium."
Nah, 9B
Um,
is way better.
what was that?
9B9T is much better than Constantium.
9B9T is the other one.
Yeah, your IP is safe on 9B9T. It won't get sold by James Russell's on 9B9T.
So there's that as well. 9B9T I've also done like one or two videos on, and it has a very classic 2B2T feel, pre-camping rusher. The other day, like a couple weeks ago, I had a live stream where I got kicked off of 2B2T because of the shitty queue and the shitty resets. So I said, guys, why don't we just go to a different Anarchy server? I'm going to hop on 9B9T. I said, why don't we all hop in 9B9T and all speak French to make people think that Fuse's followers have found 9B9T and are flooding it? Um, that was hilarious. And the people who were there were pissed off, which was also hilarious. Um, but I don't know if it's going to be a regular series. It could be. I'm certain that there are Anarchy servers out there like Constantium, like 9B, that have history now because they've been around for several years that would be worth exploring and looking at. But I don't think we'll ever find that original 2B2T experience where the whole server, this massive empty world, just filled with ruins and bases and things.
Oh, absolutely not.
I,
Definitely not the community, at least.
yeah, that world is long gone. And at this point, it's like, well, if you want to see a great base, you have to go out to 1 million. Well, fuck, I don't want to do that. That's going to take me hours and hours and kind of be shit. And
And
it's if you're within 20K, you could get attacked by some asshole with crystals. Okay, awesome. That's boring. That's
and I
boring
think I
content
think
to me.
Clyde said it best in his interview. That 2B2T is not just a Minecraft server. It was a chat room. It was a group of people that just came in and vented and expressed their feelings through this chat room, this interactive chat room. And if you didn't like something somebody said, you can go blow up their base. Like that's what made it so special. And when that was taken away, when this audience was introduced, and half the server became bots, it's almost like he mentioned it's like somebody big coming into a chat room and spreading the link to people who would not usually be there, and just
Yeah,
hundreds of people flooding in, spamming chat at all times. It just ruins it.
and more than that, I mean, 2B2T was a culture
Yeah,
before Camping Rusher came, and it still is now, but the culture has severely changed. I would have loved to have been present in the 2010, 2011 years where people went to 2K and thought this is fucking far away. No one's ever going to come out here and destroy the base. Because I think that would have been a very interesting time to be there. Um, but unfortunately, I'll never know. But I'm glad to have been part of 2B2T for so many years before it got flooded with people.
definitely. Well, this has been a really nice interview. I had a fun time talking to you, Doctor.
Yeah,
Uh,
no problem. Anytime.
yeah. All right. Unless you have anything else to say, I'm wrapping this
No,
up. All right.
not at all. If you're never heard of me before, definitely check out my channel. There's a ton
Yes, I'm
of
linking him in the
YouTube history
description.
there.
But honestly, if you're
Yes,
subscribed to me, I don't see why you're not already subscribed to Dr. Zombie. I mean,
it seems
everyone knows
unlikely,
who he is. Yeah.
but it can happen. So definitely check out the channel.
All right. Dr. Pickles signing off.